right, we have ourselves another episode of Why I Want, the show where we go over prospects of the 2021 NHL Entry Draft, and we go over what they are, what they could be, what people are saying about them, and whether or not your hockey team should take a chance on them. For the first few episodes of this series this year, we took a look at mostly top-round guys, prospects who are most likely going to be taken in the top 15-ish range of this year's selection. But last episode with Colton Dock, we took our sights over to the guys who are not really in that spot. Now, we do still have a few more top players to go through, but last time it was Colton Dock, taking a look at a guy who might go in the second round. Today we're going over a guy who might go in a similar range, although the debate should definitely be made that he probably should not. Thank you to those in the previous Why I Want who commented Blade. If you want a chance to be featured in the next Why I Want, then hey, stick around to the end of this video. But today we're sticking with the WHL and going over a guy whose overall profile is super intriguing because he could be one of the most underrated players in this entire draft. Today we're talking about Logan Stankoven. Firstly, before we get into anything, hey, great name. I know Winnipeg Jets fans want this guy because they already have Logan Stanley, and they would like to have Logan Stankoven as well. I'm just joking, by the way. But Logan Stankoven is an 18-year-old February 2003 born center right-wing player who is only 5'8". He's 170 pounds, though. So even though he's technically short, he's still got a stocky fire hydrant-like build. And in fact, a fire hydrant is a pretty good way to describe this guy and the way that he actually goes out there and plays the game. Because Logan Stankoven is a guy who is defined by many things out there on the ice. Not only is it his very strong wrist shot that can allow him to get goals from seemingly anywhere on any part of the net, not only is it his incredible work ethic that allows him to just go out there and give opponents a hard time, and not only is it his very strong fundamental on-puck play, especially on the boards, in tight areas, which is exemplified even further when other players are hounding on him. Stankoven is an extraordinarily hard-working, hard-nosed, no-fear kind of forward who has been playing for the Kamloops Blazers the previous few seasons. Even though he is 5'8", he has gone out here as one of the most impactful and fun-to-watch players on the Blazers the previous few seasons, and that was exemplified very quickly when he kicked off his rookie year with the club in the 2019-20 season, where in 59 games played, he scored himself 29 goals, 19 assists for 48 points. Yeah, that's right, he had 59 games and almost 30 goals. He would have hit 30 goals if it weren't for the pandemic shutting everything down, but his 2019-20 campaign was highlighted when he had a 4-goal performance against the Victoria Royals on home ice. I took this from Face Off with Fahrenheit, so Kai, forgive me if you're watching, but apparently it's the first 4-goal game for a Blazer since Brendan Ranford in 2011, so nice to see that little piece of trivia there. But Logan Stankoven, back when he was 16, was able to do that. He wrapped up that year with a really good stat line. This season, though, Stankoven has been kind of in a weird spot, because we know the WHL and their overall shutdowns for the pandemic and the shortened 24-game season that they had. It wasn't really the best development move for a lot of the guys that were eligible in this year's draft. It wasn't as much as the QMJHL, although it was a little bit more than the OHL, where some of those guys actually just went over to Europe. But for Stankoven, he stuck around in the WHL in the limited time with the Kamloops Blazers, and he had himself a pretty good stat line too. 10 points in 6 games played. He had 7 goals too. So an absolute workhorse out here, a goal-a-game player in his very short WHL season, highlighted by 2 multi-goal games. After that, though, he ended up going down to Texas and spending some time with the Canadian U18 squad. And this is why he got his season cut off even more. He had to quarantine, do all the protocols over there, and for Team Canada, Stankoven suited up as a winger with Connor Bedard and Mason McTavish. And these guys fed off of each other really well, Connor Bedard getting some assists on some pretty nasty Logan Stankoven goals. Stankoven came out here to the U18s and showed off his assets, his wrist shot, his ability to create offense and just absolutely be a force on the puck. He ended off the tournament with 8 points in 7 games played, 4 goals, 4 assists. In fact, he was the highest plus-minus guy on the team, at a plus 14, actually tied out there with Guillaume Richard, who had 0 points in 6 games played, but who was on the ice a heck of a lot for Canadian goals. So for Stankoven, ultimately what you're getting here is a package of a player who just wants to go out there and do his best, and he's got a really good skill set and mindset to work with the frame that he has to try to achieve that so. As a result, you have a guy who's ranked 20th on the consolidated rankings, 26th by Elite Prospects. Future Considerations has him at 20. Neutral Zone actually has him at 32, so that's a little bit lower. 18th by McKeen's, 31st by NHL Central Scouting for North American Skaters, which is really, really low, actually. 29th by Sportsnet, low as well. 21st by Recruit Scouting, 23rd by Dauber, 12th by Draft Prospects Hockey, so they're a little bit higher on him than others. 28th by Smart Hockey, 21st by the Puck Authority, and 44th by TSN and Bob McKenzie, which is usually the draft that kind of has the bigger opinion from the scouts, which is usually what tends to lean more towards reality. So even though some scouting outlets are saying that Logan Stankoven at his best could be a top 15, top 12 even, talent in this draft, the Bob McKenzie list having him at 44 really does concern me, because if you're a team that is out there, let's say at 39, 38th overall, and Stankoven is still on the board, the only reason he would be there is because he's 5'8". Like, you get that this is Cole Caulfield syndrome all over again. The only difference is Logan Stankoven didn't tie Ovechkin's goal record at the U18s, nor did he break Phil Kessel's goal record with the NTDP like Caulfield did playing with Jack Hughes in 2019. Stankoven doesn't have any records to his name. He doesn't have all this flash and the titles to go alongside of it. He is just a hard-working, no BS kind of hockey player who gives it 110% every shift and who's got some crazy good finishing and playmaking abilities as well. So you have to ask yourself, where do you want to take this guy? If some really do believe that he could be a top 15 pick in this draft, I honestly would go out there and shake their hand and say congratulations, because, man, you've got your head in the right place, in my opinion. Let's go over a few scouting reports to end off this video. Here is what it says on Dauber Prospects. What he lacks in stature, he makes up for in talent. Stankoven plays with the pedal to the metal and loves getting involved in all 3 zones. He isn't the most aesthetically pleasing skater to watch, but he generates power at a decent rate and doesn't have underwhelming speed or agility. He could work on technique, but he doesn't lack mobility. His biggest weapon is his ridiculous release. He possesses one of the best shots in the draft, and he doesn't shy away from using it. What makes his shot so dangerous is his ability to change the angle and shoot from a variety of positions, without changing the pop of the shot. Tony Ferrari also expands on a few other aspects of his game as well. He touches on Stankoven's playmaking, and he says this: Stankoven shows flashes of creativity and touch, but he doesn't always look to utilize his teammates effectively. This seems to be more of an issue with choosing whether or not to make the pass than it is about skill itself. Defensively, though, he is a dog on a bone. There is always room for growth from young players, and that will come in better understanding where to be off the puck and when to jump in and out of lanes as the game gets a bit faster at the next levels, but there is a lot to like in the undersized sniper's game, especially at an offensive toolset standpoint. Here's what Steve Koriadis of the Draft Analyst says about Stankoven. He boasts a quick release and a bullet for a shot, plus soft hands to quickly settle the puck onto his blade. I actually really like the Sam Constantino scouting report they have here. In perpetual motion, he is another smaller, energetic type player who works well in tight. Size will concern some. This is actually like the best scouting report that Sam Constantino has. All the other ones are like questions, hypothetical questions, that don't even really tell you anything about the player. But that's pretty much it. At its core, Stankoven is a buzzsaw, as defined by Nick Richard on Dauber Prospects. And if he just happens to be available sometime in the second round because he's 5'8", this is the kind of guy that I think you should be running up to the stage to try to get. He played with Connor Zary, so if Calgary Flames fans are out there thinking about a potential connection there, you've got yourselves already one Kamloops Blazer in the system, maybe add another one, who really knows? But even if you're concerned about his size, you just gotta think about it like this, man. If this guy was just a little bit taller, give him 4 inches, you make him 6 feet tall, I think he's a guaranteed top 15 pick. Like, at the very least, 15. His overall skill set, his ability to create offense, his shot, it's so deadly. And I think when you're thinking about prospects that have upside, things that make them super valuable at the NHL level, You got work ethic, you got drive, you got playmaking and offensive creation right there. This is a player that I think is one of the most underutilized just based off of his overall stock. And it would be a welcome surprise if any team went out there and took him, let's say, somewhere in the top 20. So that's my opinion on Logan Stankoven. If you made it to the end of this video, then comment in the comment section below, Ghost Rider, because we've been sticking with superheroes the entire time. And Stankoven plays for the Kamloops Blazers, so if you know the connection there, Ghost Rider is our comment section keyword. I hope you enjoyed this video, Rosen 99, and bye.